Hey everyone, what a day it was today. I'm still pretty hyped up, to be honest. This is like the fourth time I've tried to record this video because each time I start going into these hyped up rants about different things, so I'm trying to keep myself on keel here, keep myself focused and on topic. So we really need to discuss what just happened with Gus, what just happened with AGDQ, and why I think this is a huge moment, and kind of a moment that I've been wanting to see happen, like imagining happening. It's going through my head for 2 years now of, okay, what if this happened? What if that happened? What if this came together? What if that came together? What if all these different circumstances came together to get to what happened today, where we have one of our best Western players, Gus, playing one of the most hype, exciting shmups ever made, Futari Ultra, and not only did he play it on a stage, for AGDQ with, I think it was like 140, 150 viewers at one point, but people were loving it. They're digging it. And I'm so happy to say that because, okay, I'm going to pat myself a little bit on the back here. I kind of have to. Leading up to this, for almost over a year now, I've been talking about getting shmups at AGDQ. I've been campaigning for that, knocking on speedrunners' doors, sending people messages on Discord. The Frame Savers interviewed Spike Vegeta. He was one of the famous members of the AGDQ event, and they were taking questions. And I was a Patreon, and one of my goals was to just be able to ask, just interact with him, and say, hey, what about bringing shmups to AGDQ? What about giving shmups the spotlight? And when I asked him, he probably doesn't remember this because it's just some random Q&A on a podcast he did, but yeah, he did say, well, maybe one. I could see one working. That was kind of like his answer. I was like, that's all we need, baby. We just need one, and we just need to kill it. And Gus was the one. He made it, and so he absolutely killed it. I can't believe how well this went. I cannot articulate how nervous I was for his demonstration, even though I'm chilling at work. I'm just doing my thing. I'm not there on stage. I'm not there in the spotlight. Well, I was nervous about getting my donation in on time. That worked out, but I was also just nervous for Gus and for he had the whole scene on his back. He was like, I can't think of an analogy. I guess it would be something like, when Melee got into Evo in 2013, and Mango basically had to just kill it and bring the hype to get people interested in Melee. It's kind of a similar moment with this, I think, is that all eyes were on us and we had this one shot. If Gus blew it, well, he didn't, so now I can say this without freaking him out, but if he blew it, I mean, that game over, man. We probably would have never gotten into AGDQ again, never gotten to GDQ. There were so many things that could have gone wrong. And shmup demonstrations are no joke. They are not, like they said, I don't think in the commentary, I think people realized it, and I'm hoping the commentary did convey it, because, we are used to shmups, Aquas, Patasu, Gus, all the shmup players, we're just used to the genre. We've been around it for a long time, so we kind of forget how insane some of the stuff shmup players do actually is, how way beyond it goes to what casual people do when they play video games. Hundreds of hours of practice of these minute sections of honing your skills over a decade at this point with Gus. He's been playing Futari for who knows how long. It's just another level of dedication that I don't think a lot of people understand, and we're just kind of numb to it at this point. So I was really happy, and I'm hoping that it came across to the viewers just how insane this guy is at this game and how brutal this game is. My recommendation is, if you're not sure, if you're like a little bit of a doubter, like, oh, is it really that hard? Get yourself an Xbox 360, order yourself Futari, throw on Ultra Mode, and get out of stage 1. That game on Ultra Mode is no joke. It is, even for experienced shmup players, it is crazy. So what he accomplished live on stage 2, I think people also underestimate the fact that he did this live. because I've already seen some naysaying comments, some negativity. That's just status quo for the shmup scene, to be honest. Shmup players, they're just, most of them are naysayers, negative, a little bit, I don't know what, but like never sharing any sort of excitement, never sharing any sort of support for each other. It's always just, that's not good. Like, they're all a bunch of stern dads, It's like, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. Japanese players could do better. A Japanese super player could do better. This one guy on Earth did better this one time. It's insane how these people lose perspective, honestly. And so for Gus to accomplish what he did live on stage, so he not only cleared the ultra mode, he did have non-default. He had a little more help with the extends, but this mode is insane, and the RNG in this mode is insane. And so it's not like oh, it was easy mode or anything. It's insane what he accomplished. Even with a little bit more generous extends, it was still a very daunting proposition to pull it off. I honestly believed that he could, but I was very afraid that it would not work out. And the thing is it's AGDQ, and compared to most other players at AGDQ with, arcade games and stuff, and what they're facing compared to Futari Ultra, it's like, it's still going to be impressive even if Gus doesn't get the 1cc. But the fact that he did get it is, to me, it's huge. It's the statement, It's a statement of his ability and skill to perform live that is really incredible. I can't believe it, honestly, because I feel like I'm a fairly talented player, not in near the tier he is or near the tier the super players are, but fairly talented. But you stick me in front of an audience, I have no idea how I'm going to react. I could be dying in stage 2 for all I know, And so for him to perform to that level under the pressure was incredible. I think one of the greatest moments in AGDQ history, to be honest. Of course, I'm a little bit biased, obviously, because I'm a shmup player, but still, I think objectively, I can't think of many more moments in AGDQ history where I was like, whoa, that was crazy. That was insane. Like Gus's run. So I really do hope that the speedrunning community and the casual gaming community do appreciate it, even if it's not their, it's not their home turf advantage, it's not their genre. I'm hoping they can at least extend some appreciation for the raw skill that goes into play. And I think Futari is an awesome game to debut at AGDQ. I think it's the perfect game. It's got the slamming soundtrack, it's got the killer visuals, it's got the absurd, bullet patterns, and it's all about the dodging. It just comes down, you got that 1 pixel hitbox and you're just dodging all these insane patterns. It's one of the most visually pleasing shmups ever made. And so I couldn't think of a better game to show people. And I was trying to explain that to a lot of shmup players, because even right before the event, there was a lot of negativity, like people are just going to leave the stream, people aren't going to care, they're going to think it's stupid, they're not going to get it. And I was trying to explain, it doesn't matter if they get it or they don't get it, it's Futari. It's got massive bullet cancels, it's got insane walls of bullets and bombs, and it's just visually exciting. People are going to love it, even if they don't know what exactly is going on. So, and I think that definitely held up, because that's what I was watching the chat, and people were losing their minds. They're like, what the hell is this? And I think most people, even who aren't hardcore players, do have some small experience playing shmups, and so they can in some way appreciate how difficult this game is. So that was the run itself. It was incredible. And also shoutouts to Aquis and Patasu for the great job on commentary. I love the hype and the excitement they brought. I'm sure some of the more really technically minded people within the shmup scene are going to be saying, oh, I wish they mentioned this, I wish they mentioned that, I wish they mentioned this aspect of the scoring system. They didn't explain this aspect of the scoring system. To me, I don't think that's nearly as important as just bringing the hype, coming up with interesting and fun things to say, like they were saying juicy cancels, and they're just coming up with memorable explanations and I think they also did break down the game effectively to people who don't quite know what's going on, to explain, okay, this is what's happening here, this is what's happening here. They're explaining planned bombs, they're explaining all these different aspects, extends, so, and the stage counters. So I think they had it covered. I think they did a great job. And also shout outs to Patasu for shilling my channel on the stream. I popped off a little bit at work. I was pretending to file some stuff while watching it, and yeah, when he's mentioning my channel and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh. That was kind of a cathartic moment for me as well, because I've had not opportunities this big, but I've had opportunities in the past where my channel could have been mentioned to a larger general audience and was passed over, and so that was a big disappointment. So Patasu mentioning my channel and stuff, that was a heartwarming moment for me. I really enjoyed it. I was like really happy about it, because I do feel like I was a big supporter of Gus, and I wanted people to see his run. I did, you know. I'll also talk about this too, I guess, is for people who aren't familiar with the shmup scene. Let's say hypothetically you are a recent subscriber to this channel, or maybe you're coming across this channel or this video in the hype storm surrounding this run and you have no idea who the hell I am. There's some things about the shmup scene that I think don't occur to people, or they wouldn't really realize. And the first thing that I think everyone needs to understand about shmups is that we are insanely unpopular. We are as niche can be. And I'm talking sheer numbers. I'm not talking just whatever, like culturally or what, I don't know, video game popularity wise. I'm talking sheer numbers. Shmups are extremely niche. Let me give you an example. So Stunfest was, you could say, like a counterpart to this event. Stunfest is the shmup version of AGDQ. It's our big event of the year where all the community gets, well, not all the community because there is no community, but a lot of the players that are interested in shmups kind of gather together and check it out. And it's run by members within the scene, and it's a really cool event. I covered it on the channel. It was really cool, and Gus actually played there, so that's funny. He did the exact same run, and he did get the clear and everything too as well. But at Stunfest, the highest the view count ever hit, I think, and this is maybe being a little generous, was like 300, and that's like prime time top shmup numbers. That's like killing it. And so, and our top streamers, you know, they get around, like on a really good day, like 15 people on a really good day, or yeah, or mostly like averaging around 7 or 8 people watching. And these are like the best players are getting like 7 or 8 people. It's just a really niche genre. And talking about our videos, so my videos up to this point, you know, they really struggle to break 1,000 views. Like if I break 1,000 views, that's like, whoa, that was a resounding success. That was like one of my best videos if I would break 1,000. Same thing with a lot of the other shmup creators right now too. It's not just me. SG Weekly, as of late, their videos aren't really killing it either. It's kind of in that 1,000, 2,000 range. Same thing with Studio Mudprints. It's just how the genre is. It's just really niche. And so a really, really difficult challenge that I've been running into in the past year and a half, where I've been trying everything I can to bring the shmups to the people, to bring them to the general gaming public, I guess you could say. The non-shmup players. So people like fighting game players, speedrunners, anyone I could get RPG people, it didn't matter. Anyone who might have some rivals of ether, like anyone who might have some slight connection or some slight in, I was trying to hook them in and trying to bring in a few people, and I just went everywhere, and it was a huge challenge, because I actually wrote an article about this. And I think this applies to shmups as a genre, not just my own stuff. But I wrote an article called The Prison of Unpopularity. And what this is, it's a real thing. It makes people uncomfortable when I talk about it, but I can't help but be real. So the prison of unpopularity is the fact that on social media, on YouTube, anywhere on the internet, you're judged not based on the quality of your skills, not on the quality of your content, not on any of those factors. Those don't really matter that much. What you're mostly judged on is your view counts and your follower counts. So for instance, if I want to collab with someone who maybe expresses some interest in shmups, maybe someone who streams shmups fairly often, but isn't really a member of the shmup scene, I'm like, hey, you're interested in shmups, you're a somewhat, followed person, you could help and talk about them, introduce them to more people. And, they look at my view count, they look at my sub counts or whatever, and they're like, this guy is he's just a biter, he's just trying to ride my coattails, and so I'm not going to pay attention to him, or I'm going to ignore him, or I mostly just get ignored, basically, is what I'm saying. And it doesn't matter how much quality content I throw at them, like check this out, check this out, check this out, check out this 2-all I did. You're playing Donpachi, look, I did the 2-all, look at this, look at this. Look at these members of the scene. It just goes on deaf ears. It doesn't matter. It all comes down to who you are as far as your view counts and sub counts. And so that puts Shmups in a really, really tough position, because some of our most important achievements, most important exciting things that go on in our scene are completely looked over, like completely walked by. Stunfest, no one cared. Even with some of the really good indie shmup releases that come out, or even some of the bigger ones like Ketsui Destiny. I knocked on everyone's doors about Ketsui Destiny. I still go on about that release. I think it's one of the best games ever made. It came out last year on PS4, and no one cared. And so that's just been a huge struggle with shmups that I don't think it's easy to articulate. The genre itself is just ignored. And I think that's what also contributes to, these attitudes among the established players or established scene, where they're so negative about everything, where it does start to feel like we're just doomed to be internally ignored and not taken seriously, even though people respect shmup gameplay, obviously, because it's so insane. But it's almost like, because it's so hard, because it's so foreign, people are like, wow, that's crazy. And I think a lot of people just assume that there's this vibrant shmup scene out there where it's all it's like the fighting game scene. It's just its own little world, and there's all these different people playing them. When really that's not the case. It's like poverty levels out here in the streets. So I'm hoping why this event is so huge is we've all of a sudden went from 300 at most watching Gus play Futari to now, 130, 140, maybe even 150,000 people seeing Shmups. That's an insane jump in exposure. That's an insane jump in attention. And even after the run, I was just looking on social media, I'm seeing posts about Shmups and Futari from, tweets and stuff from people I've never seen in my life. And I pretty much know everyone in the shmup scene at this point that speaks some sort of English. I pretty much know all of them. And these people are tweeting, and they've got all these viewers, or all these followers. I'm like, who are these people? These are new people. These are new sets of eyes on the games. And so I think this is a huge opportunity, and I think we all have to thank Gus. I mean, the thing is the shmup scene doesn't like to do that. We don't like to show appreciation to each other for whatever reason, but I think at this case, if you care about shmups, you've got to thank Gus on some level, because not only did he did all this pretty much solo mode, right? I mean, like I said, I interviewed him and pep talked him, and his close shmup friends, I guess you call them, whatever. They supported him too, and of course, but the scene in general did not give a damn about this at all. Everyone was writing it off. Everyone thought it was a waste of time, or they're like, "Oh, AGDQ's lame." They're a bunch of noobs. They wouldn't understand our game, right? That was kind of just the general attitude. Everyone was just writing it off. And honestly, even though in my heart I totally believe this was a huge shot, there were times where even I was like, maybe people won't care. But then I start talking to Gus, and I start putting the factors in my head. Okay, he's playing Futari again. He's playing Ultra Futari. If anything is going to get people interested, it's Ultra Futari. You know, there's nothing obscure about what makes that game hard. It's obvious based on just the visuals, and it's like the perfect demonstration game. So he's playing Futari. Then he's got a good time slot. I'm looking at his time slot. I'm like, this is a great time slot. I thought he would be shunned down to like 3 a.m. in Cuba or something. You know, like, I thought it would be him and a bunch of cats, basically the only people on Earth awake for his run. But no, he got a great time slot. It was at the end of the arcade block, so all the arcade people are there, and then it's just before kind of the big hitter block with Metal Gear and Ocarina of Time. So all those fans are showing up, like, oh, okay, we got to get here. So he got a ton of eyes on his game. It was incredible, and so that worked out. And then Gus pulls out one of the greatest shmup demonstrations I've ever seen. It was so impressive because, like I said, he did these demonstrations at Stunfest, and he did a good job there. He made it through, and all I was hoping for was something similar. But I feel like even on this one, he did it. I don't know what it was, but it was more exciting this time around. Maybe it was the, like I said, the huge audience, right? But also just the way the game played out, where he basically killed all the stages. He only had a few deaths here and there, but was getting all these massive cancels, was kind of playing a little swaggy, was feeling himself a little bit, and then he gets to that Larza fight and barely clutches it out right at the end, adds that beautiful amount of tension. And that's what I think was really cool about his run, that, you know, as a super play, obviously you'd want everything to work perfectly and to get the counter, well, you can't get a counter stop in that mode, but to get like a really, really high score, no miss it or whatever, which would be insane for Futari. But, you know, you want like ideal gameplay. But I feel like, honestly, with some demonstrations, it's kind of more hype if there's that tension of, oh crap, he made a mistake here, he's only got one life, it's all or nothing, you know, and everyone's on the edge of their seats or computers and they're freaking out like, oh my god, is he gonna make it, is he not gonna make it? I think that makes for great entertainment, I suppose. So in that sense, I don't think the run could have gone better. And I think Aquas and Patasu, they did a great job on commentary. What I really liked about their commentary is they knew the audience. They knew what the audience wanted. And I don't think, because I'm starting to see some opinions of, oh, they should have talked about X or Y, or they should have done this or that. But you're thinking of it from a shmup player's point of view. You're thinking of it as, oh, you know, how ideally a shmup player would do it. And the shmup players, honestly, the shmup player's ideal is always just like this really cool guy who never gets excited about anything and is just totally casual about everything. Oh, I just woke up, rolled out of bed, and two-walled with white label, and no big deal. Like, that's always the cool thing in shmups, is just to be, oh, it's just no big deal. It's like an anime or whatever, you know, when the guy kills an army of people and then he like brushes off his shoulder and takes a nap. That's kind of the ideal of what makes a shmup player cool, honestly. But in my opinion, you got to read the room, and I think Aquas and Patasu did that. They weren't being Mr. Cool Pants up there. They were getting hype with the crowd. They were saying like memes and adding some like funny, memorable moments. That's what matters to the AGDQ crowd and the casual crowd. They don't care about the advanced scoring mechanics. They don't care about any of that stuff. And if they're just dying for that, we've got so much content for them for that, right? What we needed at this moment was the hype. We needed memorable things. We needed stuff people could get on board with. And we needed it to be kind of dumbed down a little bit to where people can understand what's going on. And I think they did a great job of explaining, he can bomb here, he can't bomb here. He can get a safe spot here, he can do this here. It was very clear and direct, and I really liked that. Whereas, you know, you don't want to start going into like gem calculations and all kinds of stuff in the middle of his run at AGDQ. It's just not, it's going over people's heads. It's not clicking with people. Instead, you want to just start talking about, this is hype, this is hype, this is hype, this is hype. You just want to point it out every single time. This is cool, this is cool, make some noise, get people, you're like an MC. You're not an educator, you're not a college professor. You're trying to get people riled up and hyped up. And I really love the parts where they're like, make some noise if you want Shmups to come back. Make some noise for, I love that. I think that was really good. Again, I think people, and there's even parts where people are saying, oh, they're being cringy because of this and that. I think one thing Shmup players, and I think a lot of people on the internet need to start understanding is sometimes a little cringe is actually a good thing. Because it's memorable. People remember a little bit of cringe. You don't think people who are on the cringe compilations don't get attention? Of course they get attention. Like, of course there's like a fine line you want to walk, right? You don't want to be too cringe where people don't take you seriously. But if you're just like cringe in a way where people can tell you care and that you're interested, I think that's really good. I think that gets people interested. Like, oh, these guys actually... Like, what I liked about the commentary was you could tell the commentators cared what happened. They were genuinely nervous. They were genuinely invested in what was going on. They were freaking out at some parts. I loved that. I think, like, think about fighting game commentary, and the divides there. People always want... There's some people who want, like, Ultra David style commentary, where it's just, like, very... Well, Ultra David has lots of different styles, but like the classic Ultra David where he's just very like technical and like like really play-by-play technical. And then there's like the Yipe style commentary where they're just memorable and memeing and saying funny things. And so I think they struck a good balance there where I do not think them showing up and hitting the crowd with gem calculations, and I think they did a great job. And an extra thanks to Patasu for shouting out my channel. Obviously, I don't know how to say it. I can't put it into words, but it was kind of a surreal moment for me where so long in the shmup community, I feel like I've been ignored. So long I've been pushed down, suppressed. People, it's funny, the Electric Underground, everyone knows about it. No one wants to talk about it, basically. No one wants to mention me. So shout outs to him for doing that. Yeah, he popped off a little bit, and then I popped off. I was like at work pretending to file stuff, and I was like, when they, talked about my channel stuff, I was like, yes! Trying not to act too excited in front of my, in the office, but yeah, it was a huge moment. Yeah, and I was really happy my donation made it through. I was nervous because I had no idea how much money I had to throw at them to read it or not. You never know. But I figured $50, well, that's all I had. That's my Nintendo Life money from that article I wrote for Nintendo Life. That went straight to Gus and to AGDQ. So it's funny. Shmups giveth and then Shmups taketh away, but in like a good way. I think it turned out really well. I'm really happy with how I was able to, after stage 2, I think it was, get my donation read. And what I really wanted, what I wanted was for it to get read early. Because you can tell by the way I worded it. I wanted to... Because my big fear was... Because like I said, going into this event, no one really supported Gus. I mean, of course there are people who did. But I'm talking like the overall scene did not support Gus at all. They pretty much just ignored it, honestly. I posted 2 podcast episodes about Gus going to AGDQ. And like, the only people who responded are my own followers, my own fans, or whatever you call them. Like, I don't know if I call them fans, but people who follow my stuff, they were the ones responding. Like the Pericles crowd, or the Shmup forum crowd, the naysayers, or whatever you want to call them. They didn't give one damn about it. It was just all downplayed, and people aren't going to care. People are going to close out of the stream, all that sort of stuff. And so I wanted to show Gus support, like, while he's at the event, like, hey, the Electric Underground cares. At least one dude in the scene does care about this. And so I'm glad it was in stage 2, because that's kind of where the breaking point is. And then stage 3 and 4 and 5, builds up. So I was happy that got read on the stream. And then I noticed some of the other guys donating. I was actually talking to them in Discord, like, talking about getting donations. So shout outs to them as well, showing support for the run and everything. Oh, so yeah, like I said, I'm really hyped up from this. My brain is a scrambled mess. It's really weird feeling, honestly, because in no way am I involved in what happened, but in a way I feel very involved because I can't remember if I've already said this or not in the recording because I've recorded this so many times I forget what I've said and what I haven't said, but in case if I've said this before, I'm sorry. But yeah, going up into AGDQ last year, we had this huge discussion in my Discord. I think the discussion went on for like 2 days or something, talking about Shmups at AGDQ, and every single person, almost, except myself and some other people who are kind of newcomers as well, was just downplaying it, naysaying it. No, it's stupid. It's not going to work. People don't care. AGDQ will never accept Shmups. Just, they had them lined up like dominoes. Every reason why it won't work. Every reason why, the Shmup scene should quit. And so it was so gratifying because for so long I've been knocking on doors, on Discord doors, I guess you could say, and I think I already mentioned like asking Spike Vegeta during a Q&A during a podcast about it and all those sorts of things. So I feel like I've been very invested in this, but I have no idea how much my influence made a difference because it's very possible it made no difference. It's very possible that all my talking about this and all the people I tried to talk to about this completely ignored me. And then the dude who made the decision had nothing to do with me at all. He was just some dude who's like, Tari, okay, why not? Let's do it. It could have been that simple. But at the very least, I feel like I can bask a little bit in my prediction of what would happen because I feel like I was the only one, other than Gus himself, that was saying this could be a big moment. And so I guess let's talk about going forward. Honestly, I'm going to continue to do my thing. I'll definitely follow up with Gus, of course, about the event, his thoughts, his takeaway. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen next. I don't know. I feel like something's going to happen. Who knows, though? It could be where people get excited about it and we're just kind of the talk of the day and people move on. But I feel like if we try and capitalize on this, we can make some leeway. We can make some steps forward. Like I said, I think this has opened some doors for Shmups at AGDQ in the future. And so we can work with that. We can get other players in there, get other players repping the scene and stuff, and it could become like a thing, like, oh, it's the Shmup time, and then people start to understand it. Like I said, I've seen this happen with Tekken, I've seen this happen with Melee. It's not impossible. Everyone thinks it's impossible. It's not impossible for us to get more attention. How far we can go, I have no idea. It's hard to say, but yeah, I think this is a big opportunity. So for me, if this is the first time you're checking out my stuff, this is maybe you saw Gus's run and you're like, holy shit, I want to check out more Shmup stuff. Where do I go? Yeah, definitely. I would say my channel is a great place for that, obviously. But I'd also want to caution you, give you a word of warning that there is a subsect within the Shmup scene that does not want you here, that does not want new people, that wants to remain twin galaxies. They want to remain in their own little circle. They think they own the genre and they call the shots, and they want to push everyone out. They want to downplay you, make fun of you, call you, make you feel like a loser, ignore you. I've just seen it happen over and over and over, and I'm sick of seeing that happen. And so I don't want my fellow Shmup players to fall into that. So you start seeing that bullshit going on. I feel like we need to start taking some action here. We need to stop this whole bystander effect of, oh, yeah, I noticed they're being an asshole to this new player, but what can you do? It's like, no, call them, like, stop that, shut that shit down. Be like, no, you don't have to be that way. You don't have to be a douchebag to the new players, right? So I'm going to be that way. So, like, in my Discords and stuff, and on my channels and stuff, I'm definitely going to be doing my best to bring in new people, support them, answer their questions, get them on the right track. And I think this whole attitude of, oh, well, if they're not playing for score, if they're not, the top tier players, why bother? Why exist? They're just the losers. I think that attitude needs to be put aside because it's totally missing the point. Because think honestly now. Do you think everyone who watches AGDQ and supports speedrunning is a top tier speedrunner? Of course not. Is everyone who loves fighting games and supports fighting games, goes to tournament, donates to their favorite players, supports them on Twitch, all that sort of thing? Do you think they're all just these killer players and they, the top tier? No, of course not. There is, in any scene, there needs to be a stratification. There needs to be the people who come as casuals, who enjoy the shmups casually, and support, buy the new games, talk about the new games. I think the issue with the shmup scene, okay, I'm getting off topic, so I'm gonna finish with this topic and then call it a day, but the issue with the shmup scene is that we're so divided. Instead of supporting our players, we want to blame everyone else. So, for instance, people on the farm, they want to blame Shmup Reddit. They want to blame the casual players. They want to blame them for everything. They're our problem. They're the problem. They're the people. If they were better, if they weren't so stupid, Shmups would be more popular. But instead, I think the reality is that the established players are just as much to blame because we don't support each other. How many of you supported Gus coming into this run? How many of you said, "Good luck, dude. This is important. I'm pulling for you. You can do this. This is a big, I'm like, this is a big opportunity. We're rooting for you." I would say very few, if very few at all. I think most of the established players don't support each other. It's weird, right? So I think I want that to change. I want when people, when freaking Plasmo gets a world record, I want people to talk about it. When Iconoclast gets a huge score, I want people to talk about it. Because the issue is that we've pushed everyone away, and then we wonder why people don't care. Why don't the casuals care about the high scorers? Well, if you push the casuals away and you push them into a corner and put yourself in a little corner, of course they're not going to care, because why would they? You've pushed them away. And so that's my goal moving forward, especially with my content. I'm sure there's people just making fun of me up and down the wall right now, but I don't have to give in to that anymore. I don't have to listen to these people just trying to shut me up and downplay me anymore. So going forward with my stuff, I want to see that unity. I want to see new players supporting, the established players. I want to see established players supporting the new players, because that's how scenes grow. That's how people get interested. This is how connections are formed. So thanks for watching. Before I go, let me shout out my Patreons. These are my $5 Patreons. Dingo, Kiwi, Jake Ryan, Kay, Maz, Nathaniel Davis, Garen Tungate, Himmel, Young Money Swee, Joe Angelo, and Psych. Thanks for supporting.